Welcome to the Jill on Money Show. It's Wednesday, January 22nd, and we are here trying to help you make better financial decisions, or maybe just guide you or coach you or manage your own expectations, help you take a little of the pressure off of yourselves. It's very difficult. These are things that kind of build up over time, a lot of the emotions around money. And I think that many of you are in such good shape, and it worries me that often you are your own worst enemies. You make yourself crazy. So why don't you give us a holler if something is going on? We are at JillOnMoney.com, our website. And then you just click the Contact Us button and write us a note. While you're on the website, don't forget to sign up for the free weekly newsletter and check out our subscription service. It's called Jill on Money Live. That's where you have access to quarterly live webinars, bonus content, the back catalog, all for $45. What a bargain. So do check it out. All right, let's do some emails. Our first email is from Mike, who writes, I've heard you talk a lot about what to look for in a financial advisor, and I know to look for a certified financial planner who is a fiduciary. By the way, just side note, gang, all CFPs are fiduciaries. It's part of the Certified Financial Planner Code of Ethics, so they are held to the fiduciary standard. They have to put you before their own interest, their company's interest. You come first. Okay, back to Mike. Mike writes, I've also heard you say that to develop a detailed financial plan, it can cost a couple of $1,000. What I'm not sure of is what exactly should that include? How can I ensure that I'm getting my money's worth here? Finally, I'm not sure if I really even need a financial plan at this point in my life as a do-it-yourself investor. Do you have suggestions on when someone should switch from do-it-yourself to a more detailed plan? Perhaps at age 50? Thank you so much. I listen to you and Mark daily on my commute, and I've learned so much. Mike, great question. Now, this is not an age-based issue. I know that you'd like to say, oh, at age 50, we have to do this. No. It is a complexity issue, okay? And what I mean by that is many people will seek the services of a certified financial planner and really go through planning when things in their life are starting to pile up in terms of their ability to manage it and incorporate it into a long-term game plan. So imagine this. You're 35 years old, you're not married, you have no kids, but you're starting a business and you want to know how much of the money you've saved you should allocate towards that new business without throwing your entire financial life off the rails. Or maybe you are 50 and maybe things are changing, or maybe you've got a new job, or maybe you've gone from one type of income to another kind of income. Anything that is a little bit different than what you've been doing is usually what will prompt someone to think about a financial plan. Of course, as we do age, we will tend to use a financial plan to look at what options are in front of us. You know, I was just out to dinner with my dear friends and we were talking about the idea of retirement. And I think that that came to mind for me was that they were talking about, like, here's all the things we want to do. But, you know, if we to choose one thing, if we were to say like, oh gosh, we want to upgrade our home, then that would be maybe working another year, but maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe you already have enough money to do everything you want to do. Sometimes a financial plan can help you look at the various goals you have and determine which one should become the highest priority, which one is doable, not doable, and to understand what the scenarios would look like if you took one course of action versus another. So think of it more as like, I need to get a better look at my different scenarios. By the way, there's a lot of software out there that will allow you to do this yourself. But the real benefit of a financial planner and one that is a fiduciary is that it will give you a separate set of eyes on a situation that may lead you to one different outcome than you had even ever considered. So, Mike, I hope that helps you out. I love the idea of scenario planning. And I'm talking about scenario planning with life, not your investments. Okay? This next question is from Anonymous, who's 24 years old. Oh my gosh. About a year and a half out of college, trying to figure out how to begin to prepare financially for my future. Okay. I've been working for a little over a year. I'm leaving my job and my home soon to join the Peace Corps. Oh, what a good egg you are. My salary the last year was relatively low, but I was frugal and I was able to save some money in preparation for the next few years. $7,000 in a Roth IRA, and also will contribute a little bit more to max out for 2024. $1,000 in her 403B. $6,000 in a brokerage account at Vanguard, but a lot of it's sitting in money market because I don't know where to invest it. $8,000 in a high yield savings account, $5,000 in a checking account. I also have $20,000 in student loans to pay off. I've been making payments towards them. However, I'm going to defer those loans during my Peace Corps service. I might make an occasional small payment to prevent too much interest from accruing. I know in the grand scheme of things, the amount of money I have right now is relatively small. What? Wait a minute. You're 24 and you got money. It's great. You're in good shape. Guess I want to make sure I'm at least on the right track because I'm not really going to be making any money for the next 2 years. I want to effectively allocate the money I do have so that it can grow. My biggest concerns are where to allocate the extra money from my checking account, where to invest the extra money in my brokerage account. Currently, that money is invested in a combination of exchange-traded funds and a few individual stocks. I also don't know if I have too much money in a high-yield savings account and if I should move more of that over to retirement and or the brokerage account. All right, listen, Anonymous, you're 24 years old. You're doing great. You're killing it. Here's a couple of questions to think about. Any money that you think you could use that you need to access within the next 2 years, that is what you should keep in your high-yield savings account or that's it. You know, like you're going to maybe come home from the Peace Corps. I don't know where you're going to be, but you might need to access some of that money. That's number one. Number two, any money you think you might need in 2 years when you return, I would take that money and maybe outside of that high yield savings account, I probably would just buy a 2-year CD and just have that locked in because I think interest rates are going to change over the next couple of years. I wouldn't mind locking in money you think you'll need in 2 years. Could you come back? I got to get a job or I got to move and I got to do something in 2 years, whatever that is. I would buy a CD with that. Everything else you can think about investing. And when we talk about exchange traded funds, what I would do is I would just take a broad market exchange traded fund and anything that's that retirement account, boom, that's all that you're putting in. Maybe you put a tiny bit in a bond index, like 10 or 20%, but you're so young. I'm not sure about the brokerage account right now. Again, I don't know what your needs are, but if you believe, let's just think about this. Let's say that in 2 years, you want to know that you've got money set aside that will be able to float you for when you return and not have a job and have some money. I might just take the money that's both in the brokerage and the high yield savings account and checking account and just whatever that is, whatever you think you're going to need among those three accounts, that $19,000, if you think it's going to be, I'm going to need $15,000 for that, then I wouldn't invest it. But if you really don't need money, and this is long-term money, then I think I would consider just using the same exchange traded funds, not sweat about it. The one last thing is, I don't know what your student loan interest rates are, but if they're high enough, if they're maybe some of those scary private loans that are out there, or if you're making, maybe it's 7 or 8 or 9%, maybe I'd pay off a little bit more than just the minimal amount every so now and again. I don't know, just something to think about. So Anonymous, I wish you the best of luck and let us know how it goes. Here's a question from Ray, who subject is margin loan to pay off debt. Okay. Ray writes, after using my emergency reserve fund to pay for a complete rebuild of our air conditioning and ventilation system, we have now found ourselves in debt. Wah, wah. Oh my God, their daughter, $50,000 wedding, credit cards mounted. Okay, so they owe 20 grand on their credit cards. They want to replenish their emergency fund and pay down the debt with a margin loan. Oh, they've got 800 grand invested. They could take a $60,000 margin loan against that. Good idea. The thing about a margin loan is that you're not taking so much money out of margin that even if the market went down, that there would ever be a margin call. Margin is borrowing against the holdings in your investment account. And remember, margin loans only on brokerage accounts, not on retirement accounts. And if you could get a margin loan at, I don't know, 3, 4, 5%, it's a pretty good deal for you. So what I would say is if you took $60,000 out, I mean, at least do the 20 for sure to get rid of the cards. And then I want to know what the cash flow looks like. Would you take a margin loan to rebuild an emergency reserve fund? Maybe. I might do that. just know that, of course, the risk of a margin loan is the value of your equities goes down so much that you're actually asked to repay that loan immediately. But you're very far from that. It's usually a 50% level. And I think you're going to be fine. So this is just in this instance, gang. I don't want everyone hearing me saying like, yeah, do a margin loan to pay off your credit card debt. It doesn't work for everybody. But Ray, if you've got further questions, follow up with us.
50 G's.
50 G's for a wedding when you don't have the money. Whew. All right. Question from Rich. Hey, Jill, I've heard you mention that Social Security is inflation adjusted. Does that mean when I get my statement of what my benefit will be, if I wait until either at 62, 65, 67, that the payment that is listed will rise each year based on inflation? I have to admit that I don't understand what this means. Well, every year, the Social Security Administration will announce what is called a COLA, a cost of living adjustment for Social Security benefits. So, for example, in 2025, right, this year, people who are receiving Social Security income benefits, like 70 million people, they get a 2.5% increase in their base level of Social Security payments. If you're talking about will your benefit go up every year prior to that, I think that the estimate that you're getting is based on your work record. But once you claim, that's when the cost of living adjustment kicks in. So if I were going to get, $1,000 check every single month, I would get a little 2.5% bump on that every year. And that's better than what many people get when it comes to any guaranteed stream of income, a nice cost of living adjustment. This question is from Robert, who writes, thank you again for the fabulous show and all the help you provide your listeners. I have a simple question. Am I okay to skip maxing out my workplace retirement contributions this year? I use a Roth thrift savings plan as I am in the military and use the same amount to rebuild my cash savings instead. All right, let's figure this out. So Robert says 23 and 24 were the first years I could max out Roth IRAs, spousal Roth included, as well as Roth contributions for a thrift savings plan. I don't get a match in the thrift savings plan. My wife and I are 40 and 41. We've got $660,000 in retirement savings between our accounts. 80% Roth, 20% traditional. They've got less than $10,000 in regular brokerage account. This year required us to use a bit of our emergency cash for house repairs while we still made the retirement contributions. I think I'd feel better if we put the approximate $24,000 I would allocate through the thrift savings plan this year and keep it in cash instead. It would get us back to just over 6 months of emergency savings. So the question, am I okay to take a year off from TSP contributions and rebuild cash instead? I would still max out our Roth IRAs for the year. Ideally, I would like to be able to retire by 60. Earlier is better. And I feel like we're on a good trajectory, especially since I've been active duty military for almost 19 years now. I always appreciate the Jill and Mark sanity check. I'll give you my sanity check, and Mark, you can weigh in because you were asked. I think this is perfectly reasonable. A lot of money that's already in retirement. They're going to have, he's going to have a military pension. And yeah, I like rebuilding the emergency reserve, and they've got a lot of money saved already. They're only 40 and 41. What do you think, Mark?
I am 100% on board with this. This is a 12-month pause, and it's not a total pause because they're still going to be maxing out Roth IRAs for both of them. So yeah, go ahead. It's just 12 months.
Just do it. I think it's great. I think I would absolutely encourage you to do that. For those of you who are hearing this, maybe you also blew through some of your emergency savings. Maybe that meant you had to actually go into credit card debt. Give us a holler. Go to JillOnMoney.com. Click the Contact Us button. Write us that note. And if you want to join us on the air live, check the box. We'll do everything else. Hey, while you're on the website, don't forget, I have a book. I've got 2 books, actually. The most recent one is called The Great Money Reset. It's perfect for this time of year. Subtitle is something you're going to probably have some recollection with, but it's about 10 bold steps that help you turn chaos into opportunity. That's the book, The Great Money Reset, to be found on the JillOnMoney.com website. You can subscribe to us on the Odyssey app or wherever you find your favorite podcasts. Don't forget to lift someone up. And now for that subtitle, change your work, change your wealth, change your life. Thank you for listening. We'll talk to you tomorrow.